Everything you need to know about the mysterious and luxurious world of airport lounges. In this video, I'm going to tell you what is behind those oh so luxurious looking doors, or on the other side of perhaps the very long lines, because you know what, airport lounges have actually gotten really popular in the last few years as people look for a more relaxing place to stay than the cattle call that is the airport gates in many airports. And so in this video, I'm going to talk through what's in an airport lounge if you've never been behind the doors, or what's in some other airport lounges if maybe you've been to a few. I'm going to talk about how do you get into these airport lounges, paid memberships, credit card memberships, redemptions, elite access. I'm also going to talk through which lounges are the best. If you have a choice of many lounges, which one should you pick? And then I'm going to talk through if you have to pay for lounge access, is it worth it? So I think whether you're new to the world of airport lounges or you're an airport lounge veteran, there should be something for you in this video. And so the first topic I want to talk about is why airport lounges. Like, why do these things even exist? As a casual travelers might not even notice that these places exist. It seems like in airports, they almost try to tuck them out of the way and, third floor, basement level. They're generally not easy to see and easy to find. But once you do find your way to them, at least to the good ones, you'll find an oasis of calm and relaxation and quiet, a place that you can really just relax, because boy, many airports are often quite the opposite. For me, airport lounges are an important part of making my journey so much more pleasant and relaxing. And I often choose airports to connect in because of the quality of the lounge. Like if I'm picking from connections, I'll be like, I'm gonna connect where the lounge is better, so I have a better overall stay, better food, better places to sit, and so I quite enjoy the airport lounges. I'm also somebody who will get to the airport hours earlier if it has a nice lounge, so that I can enjoy that lounge to have food and drink before I get on my plane. As I said, how do you pick from lounges? Some airports have a lot of lounges. LAX Airport, Los Angeles International Airport, that I love to give a hard time about, has 23 lounges. And so there's a lot of choice. Maybe you can get into some, maybe you can't. Which ones do you prioritize? How do you pick? That's what we'll talk through here. So now I want to get into, what is actually in an airport lounge? If you've seen these doors and never been inside, these are the things that are in an airport lounge. And first of all, what you'll see in an airport lounge is seating, from utilitarian seating to massage recliners. It can really run the gamut. Fundamentally, airline lounges attempt to be a more comfortable place for you to sit and relax than the gate area or the food court of the airport. Often with nice views of the runway or nice views, on other parts of the airport. And one of my favorites, just as kind of like a look sort of thing, is the ANA Lounge at Tokyo Narita. It just has this really kind of futuristic look where there's all these recliner chairs that have neat lamps next to them, and it looks out on the planes. You can see the Star Wars plane when it is there at the gate area. Now, there's also generally food. So lounge, you get the two things you generally get in an airport lounge, as a bare minimum, are someplace to sit and something to eat. And the food options in lounges can really range from the lame end, which would be something like cheese and crackers or carrot sticks and celery sticks. Those are in the really lousy lounges that are probably not worth your money or time to go into, to the upper end where you'll get amazing hot buffets, even to plated meals that you can order from a server and they bring it to your table. If you're watching this as the video today, then you'll see that there's food here. This is the Air Canada Lounge at LAX, which has kind of a light buffet to it. one of my favorite lounges I mentioned, the ANA Lounge at Tokyo Narita Airport. You can order Japanese dishes that they cook for you. This is the cooked to order udon noodles, and this is their curry rice, and this is some Japanese green tea. You order from this little window, they give you a number, they call your number, and you get it on a tray, and it's super delicious, super good, super tasty, and super fresh. Now, with all that food, you're gonna be thirsty. Drinks. There's always going to be some drinks, not just non-alcoholic drinks, but often the good, well, some lounges have like cash bars where you can pay cash to get alcoholic drinks, beer, wine, maybe even mixed cocktails. Others may have an honor bar where you just are expected to put some money in like a jar or something like that. Others have just like full free liquor wherever you are. So it really depends on the lounge. The better ones, the Asian carriers, things like Singapore Airlines, Thai Airways, often have the much better setup when it comes to the bar. Restrooms. Most lounges will have restrooms. The good ones will have restrooms. Some make you use the restroom out in the airport, but the best lounges have showers. If you have a long connection, being able to take a shower in the middle of your 40-hour journey can be really kind of life-changing, just freshening up. The Turkish Airways Lounge in Washington Dulles Airport has a prayer room where you can wash your feet before you pray. And so there's really quite a variety when it comes to showers and those sorts of things. Yeah, I didn't take a picture of the showers because, I don't know, sometimes it's weird to take a picture inside bathrooms. But generally the way airport lounge showers work is they're dedicated shower stalls. So you get the shower room for 30 minutes or 15 minutes or however long it takes you to shower. If the lounges are busy, they'll have like a waiting list that you can sign up, and maybe they give you a buzzer, or they call you on the overhead, or they give you a pager, some way to let you know when it's your turn to take a shower. Showers are pretty good in Tokyo Narita. I've enjoyed them in Germany as I've connected there on long flights as well. And some give like pretty good amenities when you take your shower too. Wi-Fi. Free Wi-Fi is something that can be pretty nice in the lounge. Some airports provide free Wi-Fi, but generally the lounge Wi-Fi will be faster. I like to get in there if I've like shot a bunch of video on a trip and maybe I need to like upload something before I get on my flight. I generally hop in the lounge, get on the Wi-Fi, and I can upload some of my files while I'm eating my noodles and my curry rice. Another thing that's really handy in lounges is airline agents. In the lounges that are operated by the airlines, let's say the United Lounge, the American Airlines Lounge, the Delta Lounge, in the lounge will typically be airline agents that if you missed your connection, you can rebook or change your tickets from those agents that are in the lounge. And that's really great if it's like a bad weather day and the lines are super ridiculous for everybody else to talk to. Getting in the lounge, you can get access to agents that have shorter lines, and often the airline agents that are in the lounge can often do a lot more for you than the agents that are just out at the normal check-in areas. Spa services, like lounges are trying to get into the game to like really differentiate themselves and be like, why should you come or pay to get into my lounge? In particular, the Centurion lounges at a number of their locations provide spa services. At the one in Dallas, Fort Worth, you can get your nails done, you can get a manicure, you can get a pedicure, you can get a massage. And yes, I have gotten a massage at the Centurion Lounge in Dallas, Fort Worth. And yes, one of my trips, I like specifically connected in Dallas, Fort Worth, and didn't take an hour and a half connection, but took a 3-hour connection so that I could go to the lounge and so that I could get a massage. But it's about sometimes more than just massaging. Sometimes you want a nice place to work. And so many lounges will provide desk areas that you can work at. Maybe they're big open conference tables. Maybe they are cubicles. They might even be conference rooms that you can reserve if you've got a bunch of people and you need to meet in the lounge before you get on the airplane. And some lounges even have like kiddie playrooms at the American Express Centurion Lounge in San Francisco, they have a whole room that's just a kiddie playroom. Pretty nice if you're traveling with little ones, as a place for them to just let some steam out before they get on the plane. Lounges might even have pianos. I've seen pianos in a number of lounges. Even cooler when they have a piano player. Our daughter here, the princess, she is playing this piano. This is just one at LAX airport, not even in the lounge, but she had to play a little bit of, a Jingle Bells or something on that piano right there. Frank in the chat points out that United in Newark has 5 United clubs there. Newark is a big hub for United, and so yes, and some are better than others, even in that single airport. And Yuki says, hey, Chris, I'm late. Did you already talk about the Capital One Lounge and the AA Lounge? I've not talked about Capital One lounges, but I will. All right, so those are all the things that are in lounges. Now you say, okay, Chris, I want to get to those things. I want a free massage, and I want my curry rice or my beef Wellington or whatever it might be. How do I get in there? So let's talk about access, or how you get into these lounges. And so basically the ways you get into the lounge are by booking more expensive tickets in higher classes of service. If you book your coach ticket, you're generally not getting into the lounge as like a rule of thumb. But if you're booking like long haul business class or first class, then you will generally get lounge access for most airlines that have lounges. If you have elite status with an airline, that may grant you lounge access in certain cases that we're going to talk through in just a moment. Having elite membership with a partner airline may get you into other airlines' lounges. We'll talk through that as well. Many of these lounges also provide access via a network. So if you're a member of a certain other paid program, you can get into the lounges. Credit cards often grant lounge access. Airlines sell their own lounge access. And finally, to many lounges, you can also buy a one-time or one-day pass. You just want to get in today, and you can pay to get in just for that day. So let's talk about some of the different types of airline lounges. The first type are, and like the classic type, and where airport lounges originated from are from the airlines establishing their lounges. So they will have names like the United Club, the American Admirals Club, the Delta Sky Club, and not so much on the discount carriers. You know, Southwest, Spirit Airlines, Frontier, they're not really in the lounge game because they're not going for the high-end luxury, do you want a nice experience type travel. The budget carriers are going for the, we'll give you $10 off if you accept that we kick you in the shin type of travel. So, but the airlines started these lounges as a way to differentiate themselves from other carriers, to be like, well, fly on my airline because I've got a nice place that you can relax before you get on the plane. Now, the airlines found that they could make more money, not just by selling the premium class tickets and giving people access to the lounge, but also by selling access to the lounges separately. And so all the big American carriers, United, Delta, American, sell yearly access and daily access to their lounges as well. But because they do that and they've decided that that's a way to get in, then people that aren't paying or non-elite members don't get into the lounge by default. But like the exception is as part of these airlines, if you're an elite member and you're on an international journey, then you do get into the lounge, because then they're like, well, you're going a long way, so we should let you in the lounge, but not if you're traveling domestically within the US. Now, some airports have multiple lounges for the same airline. We heard earlier that United has 5 lounges in Newark just because it's such a big airport and they need so much space for people to lounge in. But they'll also have different categories of lounges. So there's the United Club, which is their basic lounge. And then there's the Polaris Lounge, which is their international business class lounge. And so if you're flying international business class, then United will let you into the Polaris Lounge. Same thing on American Airlines. They have their Admirals Club, which is for people who like pay the yearly membership or the elite members on an international journey. But if you have an international business class ticket or first class ticket, then you get access to the American Admirals like flagship lounge, which is the better lounge that has like food you can order from waiters and are really quite swanky and quite nice. And so if you are buying international business class tickets, take a look and see if there's a nicer lounge for you to get into. One of the ways when you're getting your boarding pass from the ticket agents like out there and you check your luggage, ask them and say like, hey, do I get lounge access? You know, which one do you recommend? Are generally always questions that I ask. Now, they might not actually tell you the best one. And so we'll talk in a minute about other options that might be available to you as well. Now, what's interesting is that the American Airlines prioritize their fancier lounges for people on paid international business class. Lufthansa does the opposite. Lufthansa in Frankfurt and Munich has a few different classes, few different types of lounges, but people with elite status get into better lounges than people that are just on, within Germany business class tickets. All right. So we also talked about you can buy a yearly pass to these lounges. How much does that cost? United, American, Delta generally charge about $600 for access for 1 year to their lounges. United, it's $650, but if you're an elite member, it's between $50 to $100 less. You can also use miles to buy your lounge access. With United, it's 85,000 miles that you can redeem to buy yearly access to the United Club. Now, what's interesting is that you're like, Chris, that might be a lot of money. It is a lot of money. A cheaper way to get access to the United Club, American Airlines has this similar option, is to get their high-end credit card. So United has a credit card called the United Club Infinite Visa, annual fee of $525, which includes a 1-year pass to the United Club. It includes the United Club membership. It's cheaper to get the credit card that has a whole bunch of other benefits in addition to the United Club membership than it is just to buy the club membership outright. So if you are in the game of buying this, think about how it makes the most sense. I think the reason why the paid prices are so expensive is the people who buy those paid club lounge access memberships are generally big corporations on behalf of their employees and not usually Mary and Jane traveler like you or I. Okay, so some other types of lounges beyond just lounges that are set up by the airlines, there are also alliance lounges. There are 3 major airline alliances. There is Star Alliance, there's One World, and there's SkyTeam. And each of these alliances has, 15 to 25 airlines that are a part of it. And those alliances, the airlines agree to share access to their lounges. So if you are a United Elite member, then you can get access into the ANA Lounge. So the ANA Lounge that I was talking to you about in Tokyo, I get access into that lounge as a United Elite member. That's how I get in there. But in some airports where there's like a ton of different airlines and alliance partners, then the alliances will actually establish their own lounge. So in LAX Airport, in the international terminal, there is a Star Alliance lounge. This is run by Star Alliance, and if you're an elite member or in international business class on any of the Star Alliance carriers, then you can access this lounge. There are also lounges for One World. This one isn't as clear that it's a One World lounge, but it's got signs like Qantas, British Airways, Cathay Pacific. You can get in there with American Airlines International too, although sometimes the best lounge isn't in the terminal that you're departing from. So I fly United and American Airlines a lot. They're in like Terminal 4 and 7 and 8 at LAX Airport. The best lounges are in the international terminal. If I've got extra time, I will get there and go through security in the international terminal so I can go to these lounges before I make my way over to my flight in the other terminals. The One World Lounge will give access to One World elites that are Emerald, Sapphire, First, and Business Class in international trips. And then the third major alliance is SkyTeam. The major American carrier in this is Delta. And SkyTeam is actually the second largest network. So we get Star Alliance, SkyTeam, and then we get One World. And you get access to the SkyTeam lounges if you're SkyTeam Elite Plus. Okay, now in addition to the airline lounges and the alliance lounges, there are also what's referred to as contract lounges. There are companies that negotiate with the airports to rent a space to create a lounge, and then these companies that create these lounges partner with the airlines to say, hey, you've got some swanky flights out of here that you want your people who buy high-level tickets or elite members to have a comfy place to sit. Why don't you tell them that they can have access to my lounge, and for every one of your passengers that accesses my lounge, we're going to charge you $30, let's just say. I don't know that that's the real number, right? The numbers, I'm sure, are different for every airline and location, but there's a base cost that if you go into one of these lounges because your airline tells you you can, then the lounge charges the airline for you to get in there. These contract lounges will often also sell day passes too, because they're just in the business of providing lounge access. This is where you might see one of these lounges providing access to 40 different airlines across different alliances, just because that's who they have partnered up with. I usually find these contract lounges are in smaller airports and are generally not that great because they're not run by the airlines, and so they're not really trying to pamper you with luxury. They're trying to make money off every person that comes in, and so their goal is to give you less value than what the airline pays for you to go in there. Kat says, and I'm not sure if this is like part of another conversation, but that you usually have to have a ticket to go to that concourse lounge only. You can't hop around. I don't know what airport you're talking about, Kat. Maybe that's your home airport, but at LAX, you can hop around the whole airport. And if you have like access to a few different lounges, like you're a United Elite, you can go into the United Club, and then you can go into the Star Alliance lounge. Like I've been into the Lufthansa lounge, and then I go into the Singapore Airlines lounge, and then I check out the Centurion lounge that's by Amex. Like I go into multiple lounges on a single stay in an airport, and I'll even go to different terminals to do that. It depends where you go. Melissa says, are lounges usually wheelchair accessible? Typically they are, because there's wheelchair passengers that travel. They're often up on second or third floors, and there's usually a elevator to take to get up to find them. All right, so in addition to the airline lounges, the alliance lounges, the contract lounges, now the big credit card companies are getting into the Lounge Act. And the first big credit card company that got into the Airline Lounge Act is American Express with their Centurion lounges. This is the fundamental primary benefit that comes with the American Express Platinum Card, which is like a $650 a year annual fee that they have like 2 million paying customers for the Platinum Card. American Express has done very well because their lounges are really nice. The Centurion lounges, they've got 25 Centurion lounges, 14 of them in the US, 11 of them outside of the US, and they have like really good food in there. I mean, at the buffet in an Amex lounge, you feel like you're eating at like a pretty good restaurant buffet. I mean, it's not a Vegas buffet. It's not huge, but it'll be like good chicken or good beef, good soups, good desserts, good teas, good coffees, a bar inside, and these lounges were great when they first opened, and not that many people had the Platinum Card. And then as more people got the Platinum Card, these lounges have really become not that good because they've become so busy. And so the Centurion lounges have gotten so busy that American Express has had to limit the number of guests card holders can bring in. They've had to limit the amount of time that people can stay in the lounge. So now you can only access a Centurion lounge either 2 to 3 hours before your departure flight. And if it's full, then they put you on a wait list. I've had times when I've gone to the Centurion lounge that I couldn't get in because they're like, well, the wait list is an hour and a half. And I'm like, well, my flight leaves in an hour. What am I going to do? And they're like, sorry. And so we'll talk more about more overcrowding in a bit, but because the Centurion lounges have been so popular and have been so busy, the other credit card companies, the other big American credit card companies have gotten the act too. Capital One and Chase are both opening their own branded lounges for their own card holders as well. I've not been into them yet. Dallas, Fort Worth, big airport, so that's one where they've targeted some of these lounges, but I look forward to giving some of these a try. Steven in the chat asks if anybody's visited the Capital One Lounge in Dallas, and if somebody has, please let me know, because I am curious about it too. Right, Points Traveler asks if I've ever been to an Arrival Lounge. I have never been to an Arrival Lounge, but there are some lounges that are categorized as Arrival Lounges. So what's an Arrival Lounge versus what's a Departure Lounge? Okay, most of these lounges that I've talked through are categorized as Departure Lounges, meaning that you are able to access them based on your departing flight from that airport, and you are not able to access them when you arrive and you're like terminating in that city. So like when you're a connecting passenger, say you're connecting through Dallas Fort Worth and you go into the lounge, you generally show them your onward, you have to show them your onward boarding pass as to where you're going. Your boarding pass about where you came from doesn't get you into the lounge. Maybe the fact that you're on an international journey, like you could have come from Tokyo to Dallas and then get into, say, the lounge because you're an international passenger, even though you're connecting domestically, that domestic leg still all works that you're an international traveler. But Arrival Lounges are lounges that are like made for you to like freshen up when you get to a city. And they've been resources that have been dwindling, frankly, because airlines decide that, well, that's basically for like the, international business traveler that needs to like take a shower before they go to their business meeting. But I mean, it's really nice if you're getting someplace at like 5 or 6 in the morning, I think. And Echo Dexes are USO lounges around. USO are the military lounges, and they are definitely still around. In particular, San Diego Airport has a big USO lounge, the Bob Hope USO lounge. I've been talking for about a half hour. I am thirsty. What am I drinking today? Today I'm drinking the Tea Meister Legend Oolong Tea, which, has a nice roasty oolong flavor to it. That's pretty good. Points Traveler says, what card holders can access the Chase lounges? Chase Sapphire, I believe it is the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, and I think that's it. As far as getting free access to the Chase lounges, the Capital One lounges, it's the Capital One Venture X, the premium venture card. So each one of these credit card companies really wants to move people into their highest tier, roughly $600 a year credit cards in order to get access to their lounges. Gene says the showers were nice to use at the JFK American Lounge. Showers are really nice to use on a long connection. I agree. Okay, so now there's some other companies have gotten into the lounge game that are more than just contract lounges, but trying to differentiate themselves. So there's a lounge company called Minute Suites, which basically rents private rooms that you can rent by the hour because maybe you want to take a nap for an hour or two. There's also escape lounges, the Club. They charge $40 to $45 per entry. And then Be Relax Spa. It's one that spa services, but it's a lounge. Come and hang out in here. I've even seen e-gaming, video gaming lounges, cyber cafes as lounges. But let's go ahead and talk about lounge access networks now. Priority Pass. So Priority Pass is a great way to get into a lot of different lounges. And so American Express, Chase, and Capital One with their premium cards will give you, in addition to access to their lounges, will give you a Priority Pass membership. Priority Pass as a company basically said hey, we're going to partner with a whole bunch of lounges. In this case, they partner with 1,300 lounges across the world. And if you have Priority Pass membership, then you get access to those lounges. Now, depending upon which credit card you hold, you get different benefits to the lounges. Some might just give you access to lounges. Others might give you access to restaurants at airports. Airports that don't have a lounge, with your Priority Pass membership, you can get like $30 of free food from a restaurant. And sometimes what they call like experiences, which might be like spa services or things like that as affiliated lounges. So if you have a Chase Sapphire Reserve card, then you get access to all lounges and restaurants. But if you have an American Express Platinum card or you have a Capital One Venture X card, then you have access to all of the lounges, but not the restaurant benefit. And then depending upon the credit card, well, you will have different amount or numbers of guests that you can bring in with you. But if you didn't have one of those credit cards, you can also buy access to Priority Pass. For $99, you can then have the privilege of paying more money every day to go in. Like, they don't sell a day pass, but you got to get this $99 membership, and then you can get day passes for like $35. Or you can get the membership of $329, which if you get like $329, then you get 10 free visits and then $35 for the next one you want to go. Or if you're the frequent traveler, you can get $469 that gives you unlimited visits to lounges for a year. Which brings us to the question of, is paying for lounge access worth it? Like, if you're paying, $400, $500, $600 a year, or you're paying $30 to $50 to get in, is it worth it? So let's first talk through, is it worth it for the day use admission? And I think the time when it's worthwhile to pay $30 to $50 for day access to a lounge is when you have a really long connection and you can get into a lounge that isn't 2 to 3 hours, but like you can sit there for a long time because you might be able to get like a couple meals out of it, a few drinks out of it, and you can get that math to work in your favor. This is not a Priority Pass lounge. The Singapore Airlines lounge in Sydney has really good dim sum, hargao, shumai, drinks, like full bar basically. And so, getting into the Singapore Airlines lounge in Sydney, however you get in there, you can definitely get your money's worth out of the lounge and all of the drinks that are here. That isn't a cash bar. It's just go ahead and drink whatever you want. I think the other time that's worthwhile to pay day use to get into the lounges is, and particularly paying in to get into one of the airline lounges like the United Club, the Delta Club, the Qantas Lounge, is if your flight's been canceled and the lines are really long for the agents, getting in to pay to see the lounge agents could be the difference between you getting a flight out that night or not, because they're just able to do other things. Those are the two reasons that I think it's worthwhile to pay for a day use pass. Now, is it worthwhile to get an annual plan or to get a credit card that you pay a high annual fee for, so you're almost paying for an annual plan? It really depends on how much you fly and through what airports. I do like the Centurion lounges, although I've liked them less recently, but I still hold the Amex Platinum card to get into the Centurion lounges, which also gives me Priority Pass access. I also hold the Chase Sapphire Reserve, so I get Priority Pass access through the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which includes the restaurant benefit, so I can use that at restaurants and airports that don't have lounges. But I really don't use the Priority Pass benefit to get into the Priority Pass lounges because I find them lame compared to the Centurion lounges, or lame compared to the other Star Alliance lounges like Singapore Airlines or ANA. But really, the problem is that these American Express Centurion lounges are too busy, And so, like, I get up there and I get this sign that says, "To ensure an exceptional experience for all guests, we're currently implementing a wait list to manage our capacity." Good for you, bad for me. So when is it not worth it? It's not worth it when the lounge is crowded. If you fly out of an airport, a lot like as your main airport, where the lounge is like always crowded and you can never get in there, you got to get there 3 hours before so you get on the wait list so you can get in. It's not worth it. It's not worth it when the lounge isn't better than the airport. You know, I've been in some lounges in airports like in Guam, there's like some bizarre, you know, lounge that's in the Guam airport, and it's like this isn't better than the airport. It's also not really good if you're traveling with a large group, because most of these things only provide access to maybe 1 or 2 guests. And so if you got like 8 family members that are traveling with you and you got to pay for 6 more people to get in, that's not going to be worth it either. But as I told you, I clearly think it's worth it to have access to the Centurion lounges because I pay for the Platinum card for that reason, and also the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I don't personally participate in the United Club, Admirals Club, or Sky Club memberships, but I do get access to the United lounges when I'm traveling on international trips because I'm a Premier Platinum member with United. So let me talk through some of my favorite lounges, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into Q&A time. So in the United States of America, my 2 favorite lounges, one is the Star Alliance Lounge at LAX. I know I hate on LAX Airport a lot, but I really like the Star Alliance Lounge there. This is the eating area. I find the lounge, like, it overlooks the international terminal. It's also got like an outdoor area that you can go outside. It has a really big buffet, like a really big buffet. I mean, as far as like lounge buffets go, it's a big buffet. And the food is pretty darn good. And they have like really long hours. And so I make the trek over the international terminal to go into the Star Alliance Lounge. What's interesting about this is if you're a Star Alliance elite, like if you're, you know, gold, like, you know, 50,000 miles a year or something like that on United, you can get into this lounge even if you're traveling domestically. So when I fly from LAX to New York City, it's not an international trip. I'm not in business class, but because I'm an elite member, I can still get into this lounge. Very weird rules that these American carriers have that you can't get into their own lounges when you're traveling domestically, but you can get into partner airline lounges. So there's like an Air Canada lounge that I can get into as a United elite, but I can't get into United's own lounge. And sometimes if you have this reciprocal lounge access, the lounge staff at the partner airline might direct you back, like where I've been to the Lufthansa lounge in Washington Dulles Airport, and they'll be like, you know, you could go to the United lounge. I'm like, I know I could, but your food is better, so that's why I'm here. Though I really do like the Turkish Airlines lounge at Washington Dulles. I showed you that before. They've often got pretty good food. And I like the Centurion lounge at San Francisco Airport. I think they've got really great food as well. They just expanded, so it's gotten bigger, so it's not, they like doubled the size of it, so there's a lot more seating. Brooklyn Joe points out that a really good deal if you have the Amex Platinum card and you're traveling with a family of up to 3 other people is to get 3 authorized users. And this is a great tip, Joe. So it's not, I don't think it's $175 each. I think it's like $175 and you can do this, but I should check my math. Anyway, it's way cheaper than the base, you know, $550, $650. And in past years, I did this for OC Girl, where she was an authorized user on the Platinum card, so that when she was traveling by herself, that she could get access to the lounge as well. Now, without the guest policy, I might add her back in. I need to figure out how that works for a 3-year-old daughter, if she can get the authorized user card for Amex or not. I don't remember the age limits for Amex. I do know that she has a Chase World of Hyatt card, because Chase doesn't have any age minimums for kids. And so starting her credit history early. All right. But my favorite lounges anywhere, they're not in the US, they're in Asia. The Asian carriers, best lounges there are. I mean, probably the Middle Eastern carriers, they're pretty good too, but my favorites are the Asian carriers, in particular Singapore Airlines. I think Singapore Airlines in Changi Airport has like the best lounges hands down. So the Asian carriers in their home airport are gonna have like the best spreads, the best entertainment, the best piano players, the best food, the best massage chairs, the best showers. But one that we were in a few years ago was the Thai Airways lounge in Bangkok. So Thai Airways main airport. and it was a really amazing lounge. In the Thai Airways lounge in Bangkok, they had papaya salad. They had this lady there making papaya salad. So there's like sliced papaya. There's all the things that you could make with the mortar and the pestle that they make that to order. They had some of classic Thai desserts wrapped in banana leaves, baked things, tasty desserts, finger sandwiches, of course, dim sum, satay, teas, juices. I mean, really quite an amazing setup and amazing spread. And so definitely if you find yourself traveling through Asia or even in an airport where you're an elite on a different airline, but you're like, there's an Asian carrier that's in there and you have access to that lounge, go ahead and get in there. One of my favorite sites to look at lounge reviews is Lounge Buddy, where they have like a lot of reviews of different lounges around. But I will often just, Google something like Star Alliance Lounge in Sydney, One World Lounge in Atlanta, which it's a Delta hub, so there aren't any. That's not a great example. But, look at what other people say that they like as the best lounges, and then if you have access to it, go ahead and head to that one. Same thing with Priority Pass. There might be 3 Priority Pass lounges. Which one is the best one to go into?
Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer.
All right, fellow explorers, that is now everything you need to know about the fabulous and luxurious world of lounges. I would love to take your questions now. If you asked a question before and I didn't answer it, go ahead and ask it again. Or if you hadn't asked it, go ahead and ask it now. And if you're watching the archive, ask it too, because, I answer all the questions on the archive as well. Shinnok says, what's your opinion on the Centurion Lounge? Because I covered this at length before, I will briefly say, I love it. They're just too busy. Zachary says, when will the Yellow Productions Travel Lounge be available? I don't know. I need to work on that one. If there's a lounge company that wants to partner and, we're going to definitely make all the desks and sofas and chairs yellow, it'll be a great place. Justin says the good thing about One World versus the other airline alliances is they have top tier status recognition, so you can visit the first class lounge if you're a top tier member on any airline. Justin, that is a great benefit, and really the top tier lounges like the American flagship lounge I've found to be really nice as well. Garsu says, long trips through Seattle, New York, JFK, and Heathrow this year. Any suggested strategy for Delta and their partners? Garsu, unfortunately, SkyTeam or Delta is the one that I fly the least, and so I don't have a lot of great wisdom for you there. Points Traveler says, what is your favorite dish out of all the lounges you've been to? I really like dim sum, and so I like the dim sum out of the Singapore Airlines lounges, although eating at the American Airlines flagship lounge in LAX, I think I got like a steak or a filet mignon. I mean, I got something pretty amazing out of that flagship lounge too. But in Singapore, the Singapore Airlines lounges, they have like I'll call it the Star Alliance Gold Lounge, and then they have the business lounge if you have like paid business class, and that's amazing. Like that buffet is like a Vegas, like Bellagio level buffet. I mean, look, it doesn't seat 10,000 people, but it is really good. Gambler asks if I'm looking forward to the Guardians of the Galaxy or the Flash movie. I love all the Marvel, DC, comic, those things sort of movies, so absolutely. Andrew says, my favorite lounge is the United Club 1 in Denver and Chicago. Living the Vacation Life says, I love Centurion lounges, minus having to pay $30 for my 4-year-old to access it for his cookie juice. Very expensive. Kids come. Very, very expensive indeed. I'm sure I'll be living that dream as well here too in the future. Michael Yip says, do you frequently see families in lounges? Generally not, because of the well, you got to pay this much to get in. I mean, families, maybe like a couple with 1 or 2 kids, but definitely not like really big families because it's so hard to get them all in there. Justin says the signature dish at the Qantas First Lounge is salt and pepper squid or the pavlova for dessert. I've not had that, but sounds like it could be tasty. Zachary says, have you ever been delayed overnight and just slept in the lounge instead of getting a hotel? I have never slept in an airport. I always get a hotel. I've been delayed overnight a lot of times and I always get a hotel. I'm not into like toughing one out in the airport. Grant says, I hung out in the Aspire Lounge on a 6-hour Heathrow layover. Hey, and I'm sure that was like fairly decent. You know, Aspire isn't like the world's best lounge, but it's probably better than sitting around the gate area. And Joe answered the JFK question, said Delta Sky Club is good there. By the way, if you're enjoying this video or you got some value out of it, I'd really appreciate if you hit the thumbs up button. It really helps me out, lets the YouTube algorithm know that you like the video so that YouTube can share it with more people. And every time you like it, one piece of premium bamboo goes to feed the Yellow Productions crew behind me right here, and those pandas are very hungry. And I see on the live we've got 99 likes. I'd love to get that up a few more. Points Traveler says, do most lounges have time limits for stay? No, the Centurion lounges, the Amex Centurion lounges are the only ones that limit you, and the way they limit you is by not letting you in more than 2 to 3 hours before your departure flight, because they have no way of kicking you out until they close, right? They don't give you like a wristband, or they don't really have a way of knowing how long you've been there. And it was like fairly controversial when Amex started that, though in the Amex Centurion lounges, if you're connecting, say you have a 6-hour layover, you can be in there as long as your layover is. They do the 2 to 3 hour limit from the if you're like starting your journey in that airport. Chinook says, I wanted to use the United Club in Newark. It has a 6-hour layover coming from Madrid, but Terminal A was in construction at the time I went. Yeah, and so you could totally go to the other terminals. Like, I mean, I know Newark has like a shuttle bus between Terminal A and Terminal C. What I would do, I would just exit security, and I would go back in security to the other airport, in the other terminal. I've done that a number of times in airports. I have exited the airport so that I could go in to the lounge in another part. Generally, at most airports, you can generally access the whole airport with your boarding pass, even if your flight isn't. Like in Newark, it's like that, where like I might have a boarding pass for Terminal C, and I go into Terminal A, and they're like, you know your flight's out of Terminal C, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do, but I want to go to the lounge in here. And then I'll take the bus over to Terminal C. And they're like, oh, okay, come on in. The time when that doesn't work is when you're like in an airport that has like, you know, separate like international and domestic areas, or like, you know, they're on the other side of like passport control or something like that, then that tip doesn't work. Living the Vacation Life says most priority pass lounges only let you in up to 3 hours before the scheduled departure time. Thank you for that tip, Living the Vacation Life. And Martin says, Aspire Lounge Amsterdam is 3 hours before ticketed time. I guess it goes to show you that I don't go into the priority pass lounges all that much. Or if I do, I'm generally getting it like the Turkish lounge in Dulles. It's a priority pass lounge, but it's also Star Alliance lounge. And so I go in with my Star Alliance boarding pass instead of my priority pass lounge, because they might have like a long line of people to be like, priority pass people, you're in this line. But if you're Star Alliance Gold, just like come on in and pass the line. So if you are going into a lounge and you see there's a long line, you should like maybe go and check what that line is for, because if you have a premium ticket or you're an elite member, you might not have to wait into the long line. Elliot says, why would you need to leave one terminal to go to another? Don't most big airports have a subway people mover to move around the sanitized side of security? Most big airports do, but for example, LAX doesn't always, right? Like there's some terminals that you can't walk from those terminals to those terminals, and you have to exit and go back in. That's why, I mean, most do, but not necessarily all. Points Traveler says, I entered a different terminal in Miami to get to the Turkish lounge, and TSA couldn't understand why I would want to access that terminal, where my flight was. I mean, did they let you through anyway? Like, I mean, even if they don't understand, I'd be like, I mean, are you saying I can't go, you know? Or just tell them you want to go to food. Tell them there's a restaurant that's in there. Tell them, like, I really want to eat at Earl of Sandwich or whatever is back there. James says, how many lounges have you been to around the world? I don't know, hundreds of lounges? I really like airline lounges, so I really do like and if I'm at airports and there's a new lounge or a lounge I haven't been to, like I try to get into those lounges that I can. Obviously, I'm not a SkyTeam lead. I don't fly Delta all that much, and so I haven't been into many of the SkyTeam ones, but certainly as many of the Star Alliance ones that I can get into, I try to. And Points Traveler says, I did get through, but it took some convincing. And Elliot says, that's catawampus. Catawampus for sure. Great word. Chinook says, out of all the airline cards, which one's your favorite? You mean like airline credit cards? I hold a lot of airline credit cards. I mean, I hold 2 United credit cards, like the United Explorer card and the United, what's the other one called? I don't even remember what it's called, but there's 2. And then I've got like an American card and a Delta card. I have those 3 cards so that I can get like better boarding on American and Delta and get the free check bags. I don't have the Southwest card or any, I don't have the Hawaiian card. So those are the ones I hold because those are the airlines I fly in the most. The credit cards I use the most for spend is the Chase Sapphire Reserve card and also my World of Hyatt card so that I can like work on the elite status of nights with the spend on my World of Hyatt card. I find the best redemption to be on my Chase Sapphire Reserve card, and the American Express Platinum card I use for supermarkets because it has like a extra multiplier there on the gold card. Electric Rick says, that's my dad by the way, it says, would you consider yourself to be a lounge lizard? I would definitely consider myself to be a lounge lizard. I do like the airline lounge life, and I'm the one, like, you know, if people are traveling with me, they'll just be like, just go wherever Chris goes. You know, like if he knows which ones to go in, like that's the good one to go into. Meritocratic Mafia says, do you do a lot of credit card churning to maximize rewards with sign-up bonuses? Yes and no. I'd probably say at this point I open 2 to 3 a year. I used to do more, but I only have so much time and energy to do that now. But I was definitely like much more into that when I had more free time. Let's go ahead and put it that way. Lavender Lamb says, what is the etiquette on tipping in lounges in the U.S.? I would say generally the people that get tips in lounges in the U.S. are the people at the bar serving drinks. And then I think if you wanted to tip like the cleaning crew or something like that, like I would just hand them a couple bucks. Like I wouldn't leave it on the table, my 2 cents. But I would say it's rarer than typical to see people leave tips for the table staff, and it's more common to see tips for the bar staff. So living the vacation life gives an example there. I tip depending upon the complexity of the drink. Luis asked if I've been to the Amex lounge in LAX. I haven't because they open like late. They don't open early enough for me to ever get in there. I need to like book a flight specifically at a time so I can get into lounge. Like it opened and it closed for a long time and now it's new. I do want to try to get back into that one. Living the vacation life says, if you're accessing a lounge via elite status, do they usually allow guests? Like, could you get in with OC Girl and the Traveling Princess too? Typically, like it's typically 1 guest with Star Alliance Gold, because I'm a United, million miler, then I can I gift my status to OC Girl, so she has elite status too. And so then that gets us in with our daughter, because then she's the 1 guest under either of us. Gene says, is it worth it to buy Hyatt points at $900 per year? It is rarely worth it to buy points in any program. So I'm just going to go ahead and say no. Grant asks, how long until y'all head to Japan? And so this becomes a question of, Chris, when is the next live stream? And it's going to be a few weeks before we get to the next live stream because we're going to be heading to Japan soon. So on that note, let's go ahead and do giveaway time.
Yes, it's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
All right, fellow explorers, in every live stream, I always give away a Yellow Productions crew shirt right here. Let's see what you're going to win. You're going to win this fabulous panda shirt right here with the Yellow Productions crew on it if you can answer my question. And my question for you is, I showed a lounge where I was eating some papaya salad. What airline and what city what airport was that lounge in? If you answer both of those things, then you will win that shirt shipped to you anywhere in the world. If you don't get to win one and you want to buy one, you can pick one up on the Yellow Productions shop. You'll find the link right down there in the description. And if you're like, Chris, when is the next live stream? Well, head over to my email list, the Yellow Productions update, sign up, and I'll send you an email when the next live stream is going to be. It's going to be about mid-April before we get back to the next live stream. To compensate for that, I'll be putting up 2 recorded videos every week until we get back to the live streams again. Oh, and I also had a number of people, I put out this question on the community page to say like, hey, can y'all recommend a name for this weekly show that I do here? And so I think it was Cottage Full of Love that recommended travel tips, and then it was Jeff Graham from PhotoWalks TV who said like, Chris, I like that, but make it like Travel Tips by Chris or Travel Tips with Chris. And so that's going to become the weekly name of the show, Travel Tips with Chris. Why is this important? Why do I want to name? YouTube has just rolled out podcast features. And so like you can designate a set of videos or a playlist as a podcast, and that playlist has to have a name. And so I need to put something in there. And so that's what I'm going to put in there, which means also that if you like to listen to things as audio, I'm going to be putting these weekly live streams up as they'll be considered a YouTube podcast too, which means that if you use the YouTube Music app, you'll be able to pull up these Yellow Productions live streams. Just search for Travel Tips Chris, and that should come up live right now. All right, let's go ahead and find our winner.
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
All right, as I click that button, and now, all right, here we go. The winner is Nick Bubble Tea. Congratulations, you are the first one to give the right answer. You win the Yellow Productions crew shirt shipped to you. Send me an email, chris@yellow-productions.com. You'll find the link in the description, and I will get that shirt headed right over to you. Second place, spelled almost correctly, was Dining with Derek, and then third place goes to Zach Rossley. But everybody, thank you for playing. It is always a pleasure to hang out with y'all for an hour, chat about traveling. I learn things from you as well, like the guest limit, time limit on Priority Pass lounges. So thank you for that too. And as usual, I won't say goodbye because I'll see you in the next video. Next recorded video, as it comes out every week, will be this Thursday, and then you can expect 2 recorded next videos until I see you live again here in April.